All right, hello again, everybody. This is part 2 of Lab 5. We're going to pick it up in step 3, but before we pick it up in step 3, we're going to look at step 2. So in step 2 here, step 3, 3A is similar to step 2A. Very similar, and step 3B is very similar to step 2B. Okay, so if you've got those two, then step 3 shouldn't be too hard, as long as you understand what we're doing in terms of a self-join to the system user table. Okay, so in step 2A here, we're looking at the contacts, right? So contact ID, each contact ID identifies a from our store, a person who has a membership and rents from our store. And that's what a contact is, and each contact has a contact ID. And in the contact table, and in every table, there's a created by and created date and last updated by and last updated date, right, in every table, because we want to know when a record is created, who created that, which of our system administrators, system users, created that record. Okay, so in 2A, we're looking at contacts, and so we're looking at what system user created this contact, this row, this contact record in our database. So contact number 1001 was created by system user 2, and contact ID 1002 was created by system user 2. And so we see 1 through 7, they were all created by system user 2, and 8 through 12, those records, those rows were all created by system user 1, system user with an ID, a system user ID of 1. Okay, and then 2B is this almost the same thing, but it's last updated by, and we see that the results are the same, that contacts 1 through 1001 through 1007 were last updated by system user number 2, and 8 through 12 system user number 1. Okay. Now in step 3, then we're asking the same question about the system user table. Okay, so system user, we have 4 system users. System user number 1, who created that system user? And so the created by, there's a created by record in that system user ID, in that system user record. And that is a foreign key, right? That's a system user ID that points to the system user that created that record. And here with record 1, we see that it all points to record 1, right? And so, and in fact, we see that for all 4 of our system users in our database, they were all created by system user 1. And this and you'll see that this created, so this created by here is the foreign key in the system user table, And then this system user ID is the primary key, right? The system user ID primary key in the system user table that this foreign key points to, and therefore they have to be the same, right? And then 3B is the same. So how do you code that? It is really the same join, the same code as in 2A and 2B. But it might, okay, so the this 3A and 3B are two table joins. Okay, don't make these more complicated than you need to. You don't need to. These are two table joins, not three table joins. Okay. Now 3C is a three table join, but 3A and 3B are two table joins. All right, Brother White, what do you mean by that? Two table joins, because it's the system user table, it's one table. This, and, or, you know, can you zoom in on your screen there to make it bigger? Okay, let's just look at, so this is a system, this is the system user table. This is not the one, and this is a hypothetical, okay, system user table for discussion purposes here. Okay, so look at this system user table right here in the upper left. Okay, so we have system user 1 is Amy, and system user 2 is Clayton, system user 3 is William, system user 4 is Sterling, system user 5 is Laura, and system user 6 is Jose. All right? And we can, and in each of those records, there's a created all right. Had a network issue there, and hopefully everything is back. So let me share my screen again, and I will hope that this all that this all worked. Okay. So system user Amy, who created this record? System user Amy. So the created by here has a 1 in it. So what does that tell us? That tells us that Amy created her own record. Okay, Amy created this system user record, and it is Amy, and it's Amy's record. Okay, and then we could go to system user 2, Clayton. Who created Clayton's system user record? And created by 1, and 1 points to back to here, and 1 is Amy, right? So so Clayton was created by Amy. And down here, we're kind of formulating a report here that shows what we're talking about. Okay, so system user Amy was created by Amy, and system user Clayton was created by Amy, and system user number 3. Let's look at our database. This represents our database table up here. Sterling. Or William, system user 3 is William, and William was created by 1, which is Amy. System user 4 is Sterling, and Sterling was created by system user 3, which is William. Okay, and then system user 5 is Laura. Laura was created by system user 1, Amy, and system user 6, Jose, was created by system user 4, who is Sterling, right? And so this is our table right here. And then down here is our report, and that we want to show, that we want to see. Okay, so and it shows what we just talked about from the table. System user 1, 2, and 3 created by Amy. System user 4, Sterling, created by system user 3, William. And 5, Laura, created by system user 1, Amy. And 6, Jose, created by system user 4, Sterling. Okay? So how do we write a SQL statement that does that? Okay? And the way we do that is we use the system user table twice, as if it were 2 different tables. Okay? So just like in 2, you had the contact table and the system user table, and now we're going to have in 3, we're going to have the system user table and the system user table. And here we see the power of aliases now, as we, and the aliases will keep us straight on which table we are talking about. Okay, so we consider that we have table SU1, which is our system user table, table SU2, which is our system user table. It's exactly the same table, but for Oracle purposes, right, we're treating those as 2 separate tables, and we're joining those 2 tables on the foreign key of SU1 to the primary key of SU2. And if I haven't said it before, when we do joins, inner joins particularly, right, we are always joining on keys. We're always joining a foreign key to a primary key. All right, so we're joining the foreign key in system user table 1 to the primary key of system user table 2. Okay, even though they're the same table. So we just write that, and I've got some pseudocode here, okay, to show you what that looks like, and then you can figure out how to write the precisely correct code to put into your lab 3A. All right, and so I start with the from statement, right? What tables are we joining? What tables are we retrieving data from? We're retrieving data from the system user table, and we say an alias. We give that an alias of SU1. And then we interjoin that on itself, on the system user table, and we give that an alias of SU2. And what are we joining on? What columns are we joining on there? On the SU1 created by column, where the SU1 created by column equals the SU2 system user ID column, right? The foreign key of the first table to the primary key of the second table. Okay? And then in the select, and that's the third thing that Oracle looks at, what do we want printed out, right? And so look at our report over here. So we want the system user ID. Where is that coming from? That's coming from table 1. And then the name of that system user, where's that name coming from? That's coming from table 1, Amy. And then the created by, where is the created by coming from? That's coming from table 1. That's coming, so 1, right, 1, Amy 1 here. And then this name of created by, where is that coming from? Well, that's coming from table 2, system user table 2, right? So this is SU2 dot system user name, okay, is the created by, okay? So here's our select line then, our columns that we're selecting: SU1 dot system user ID, SU1 dot name, SU1 dot created by, and SU2 dot system user ID, and SU2 dot name, system user name. So over in my results here, I actually need I'm missing, as far as a printout goes, another column here, which is this SU2 dot system user ID, which would be 1113114, and then which is the SU2 dot system user ID, and then the SU2 dot name. Okay, did you follow all that? Go back and replay that if any of that was confusing you. Okay, and so this is a 2-table join. Now 3B, in 3B you're doing the same thing. It's another 2-table join with the system user table, but you're looking at the last updated by rather than the created by. That's the difference in 3B. And so again, this is just pseudocode to show you as an example how to construct that select statement and that join. So you need to figure out exactly for our tables and the right table names and the right structure, right? How to code that, code up that SQL statement. Now, 3C is a 3-table join. Okay, so we want to put these two together. We want to see the created by and the last updated by in the same report, right? In one report. So I don't have that depicted here. I'm not going to show you that here, right? But let me just say that what we do is we use the system user table a third time. We have an SU3 system user table, okay? And I don't have it written down, but listen carefully, right? So we start with this first join, system user SU1, inner join system user SU2 on SU1.created by equals SU2.system user ID, right? That's what we just did. And now our third table, we'll have another, right, take out the semicolon, right? We'll have inner join. Now we'll have inner join again, and then we'll say system user SU3, and then on, and what are we joining on? The foreign key will be SU1 dot last updated by, where that equals SU3 dot system user ID, right? The foreign key to the primary key. So we've used the system user table and joined 3 times, and then in our select, right, we're going to select up here in our get the SU1 dot last updated by, and then we want the SU3 dot primary key system user ID, the SU3 dot username, right? And so you need to use the correct names from our tables, but that anyway gives you an idea of how to do 3C, which is a 3-table join using 3 copies of the system user table. And Oracle literally does that. Oracle literally makes 3 copies of that system user table in memory, and then does the join of the 3 tables, and then gives you then the columns that you have in your select statement out of that intermediate table that Oracle has created through joining the 3 tables. Okay? All right, replay that if you need to. And now we're going to go to step 4. Okay, so I'm going to open up another of these paint diagrams here. Here we go. And this is our rental table, our rental item table, and our item table. Okay, so let's look at the instructions in the lab first for step 4 here. Okay, display the rental ID column from the rental table, the rental ID and item ID from the rental item table, and the item ID column from the item table. Okay, you should make a join from the rental table to the rental item table, and then to the item table. Okay, so a 3-table join. Join the tables based on their respective primary and foreign key values. Okay, so just step by step read that, right, to understand. He's really laid it out as far as how to do that join. Now I'm going to show you the picture, maybe help you understand that a little better. Now again, this is hypothetical. These are hypothetical tables, and these are not the tables in our rental database. Okay, so we have a person who comes in. I've got 2 rental IDs in here, but we're going to look at rental 1. We have a person who comes in, does a rental, and they rent 2 videos. Okay, they come in and they rent Mary Poppins and Sleeping Beauty. Okay, so when they do that, we insert into our rental table we create a row, rental 1, rental ID 1, and then in our rental item table we have 2 items that they rented. Okay, so for Mary Poppins we have to go look, right? We do a sub-select query, and we go and look in the item table, and we find Mary Poppins. We match up Mary Poppins, and we find that item ID 1, and we put that item ID into our rental item line. Okay, and then the person rented a second item, and so we create another row in our rental item table, row 1002. The rental ID is still 1, right? It's still the same rental, and now we have to go to our item table. We have to look up Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauty, even though it's not spelled correctly here, has an item ID of 3. So we take 3 and we put 3 into the rental item table, and now our 2 rental item lines. They point to rental item 1. That foreign key points to the rental table rental item 1, and this foreign key to the item table points to item 1, Mary Poppins, and item 3, Sleeping Beauty. Okay? So now, how do we make a report? How do we get that back? Now we want to see rental 1, somebody came in and did rental 1. What items did they did that person rent? Okay, so we start with our from statement. Those are the tables that we want to go to for Oracle to find the data that we are looking for. So from rental, we start with our rental table. That's our first table, and we give it an alias of R. Okay, so the rental table R, inner join on the rental item table, and we give that an alias of RI. And what are we joining on? We're joining on foreign key to primary key. So here's the foreign key, the rental ID, and so we have the rental ID of the rental table, r.rental ID, that's the primary key, equals ri.rental ID, the rental ID of the rental item table. Okay, so where those two are equal, then we have the right rental items. Okay, now we've got the right rental items, and these two can be in either order. You can say ri.rental ID first, or r.rental ID first, and ri.rental ID second. And so that then Oracle will be able to find these two rows associated with that rental ID. And now we say inner join. Now we join the third table, the item table. Now inner join on the item table, we give that an alias of I. And what do we join on? Foreign key to primary key, right? So ri dot item ID to I, the item table, dot item ID. All right? And that will then produce then this report over here. Now I haven't filled in the select as far as what columns you want, you need to select, but here's we'll get rental item 1, rental item ID 1001 is item ID 1, which is Mary Poppins, and rental 1, rental item 1002 is item ID 3, and that DVD is Sleeping Beauty. That item name is Sleeping Beauty. Okay. Now to get now what columns do you want to select? Go back to the lab and just look at the headers here. Okay. So here's rental ID, item ID, and item ID. So where do those come from? Okay, so you'll do select r dot rental ID, ri dot rental ID, ri dot item ID, and I dot item ID. Right, so there's your select line. Okay. So those are steps 3 and 4, and hopefully that simplifies it for you. Get with Josh, get with your peers, get with me, right? If you need some additional help understanding that, go back and replay this, right? If you didn't quite catch all of that, then certainly replay it again, okay? Remember to have comment lines for all of your steps, 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D, and then as you do each, that you test each one as you go through, one at a time. You get to the last one here, and if your results of 4 here match, everything matches, you know, these are the answers, right? These are the answers. Then you'll ace the lab. All right. Okay, that's it for now. Good luck. I'll go ahead and close this out.